Welcome to Fun to Be You Friday. I'm really excited because today my interview is with one of my favorite people, and it happens to be my sister! This is my sister, Kelsey Greenville, and of course she has awesome sauce flowing through her body just like I do. And we just have a lot of fun being us. And so today I wanted to interview her so that you can get a little idea about some of the things that she does that make it fun to be her, and see if some of these same ideas can spark interest in you, and so that you can say that it's fun to be you too. So Kelsey,
Hi.
how are you today?
I'm good. This is so much fun.
Yeah, it is. And so I called you up and said, hey, I want to do you in an interview for Fun to Be You Friday. What are you doing right now? And you said,
Sewing.
which is no surprise at all, because I know you love to sew.
I do. I do. It's my favorite.
And you have so much fabric, which is wonderful. And whenever I need anything, I can always find it at your house.
It's true. It's very true.
So tell us, how did you get into sewing? Have you always sewn?
I've been sewing.
Some of my friends don't.
Okay. When I was pregnant with my sixth child, 10 years ago, 10 and a half years ago, I was really tired and I couldn't do a whole lot, and I needed a hobby to keep me from going stir crazy. Yeah. And I couldn't just always drive to your house, so I decided I wanted to start sewing. But I'm not a very precise person, and so I thought, well, I'll pick something easy. I'll do rag quilts. And that was a lot of fun. I thought I would never progress past that. You don't have to match up like the corners and get it all perfect. You don't have to pin or anything. And
your seams can be bigger.
Exactly. Like, yeah, you can make up your own patterns. And I made like tons of those. And then I decided, hey, this pinning is easier than I thought. And not only that, it's satisfying when you get those corners to like match up perfectly. And how many things of yours have I fixed? Because
oh yeah, I find no joy in matching up the corners perfectly. There is a difference between you and I in that. But
that's true. That's true. But see, the thing I enjoy about it is, unlike cleaning the house, once you sew something, it stays that way. And so I want it to look really good. And since then, I've moved on to sewing bags and aprons, because that's a little bit more satisfying, because then it's done, versus a quilt where you have to send it away to get it quilted, and there's a lot of cost with that.
Yeah.
But it's like putting together a puzzle.
You used to pay me to do that.
I know. But it's like, quilting is like putting together a puzzle.
Yeah.
You know, when it's done, you get to enjoy it and then on to the next thing.
Right. And I do think that there's something to be said about having some outlet in your life where you do it and it's done, because so much of what we do isn't, laundry, dishes, mail, bills, I don't know, relationships. There's nothing that's ever done, is there?
No.
But sewing is. Once you start it and you finish it, it's a complete project. And
the reactions too. The reactions are very satisfying. How often do your kids come home and be like, wow, Mom, you cleaned the house? Okay, well, maybe at my house, because who's coming over?
You don't. Every now and then my son will be like, hey, thanks for cleaning the house. And I'm like, did some teacher tell you that if you tell that to your mom, she'll do it more often? I'm really always curious about what motivates them to do that. But it's nice to hear, but it's rare. You don't.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And so with an apron or a bag, when someone sees it, especially if someone who doesn't have the skill of sewing, like I don't have the skill of painting, so if I see somebody's painting or something, I'm, wow, that's so amazing.
The appreciation of it.
Yeah, and I get that reaction with a lot of the stuff that I sew, and it's really good. Sewing isn't cheaper than therapy, but it's really good therapy.
Yeah. Okay, so you told me that you took an Excedrin today and an energy on no food.
So really shaky,
right?
On my phone.
I noticed the camera, I'm like, what's going on?
Just kidding. We need the stabilizer.
Right, but no, I appreciate you doing my first Fun to Be You Friday, where we're actually using Zoom as a means to record it, and nice Zoom. I'm sure that there's some tweaks that we're going to have to do along the way, but for today this works. But I told you what you could do is, could you show us what you're working on? I know you have you make aprons for people for Christmas gifts, and people hire you to do that. They commission you. So can you show us a little bit about what you're making?
Yeah, and part of my process that I enjoy is making up the patterns. So you can go and buy patterns, but making an apron pattern is really, really very simple. So I just made, let me see.
Oh, before you go there, I just want to point
Yeah.
out for people that in anything, like it's nice to know some of the rules as you're first learning a new hobby
Yeah.
skill. And then it's okay at some point to start knowing the rules so you know which ones you can break. So like
Yeah.
making a pattern, you kind of learn some of the basic principles by going off of patterns that other people have made. And then you were able to know what you could change and adjust to make your own patterns.
Yeah. Yeah. You become familiar with it. And what's cool is there's really great information on the internet. I think a lot of people, when they're like, oh, I can never sew a straight line. Are you saying that because you really never want to learn, or are you saying that because you want to overcome that? Because it's not as hard as people think. It might just seem hard, like it did to me in the beginning, but really it's not. And that's what I like to tell people about my sewing. Is like, you can make this. This is actually really easy. If you want to learn, there's tons of information on
Guides
how to
and
learn
stuff
that.
like that to help. Okay, show us your apron.
Okay, so one of the other fun things about sewing is the fabric, and it's all your fault, by the way.
How so? How is this all my fault?
Well, no, what's your fault is now I have to have the expensive fabric.
Oh, because I did tell her what my friend Melanie Shreve told me, which was you should sew on the nicest fabric that you can afford. And that's hard because fabric now, it's expensive, like $12.99 a yard. When I started making quilts, it was only like $8.99 a yard. I thought that was a lot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I
Coupons.
had some quilts that I made using cheaper fabric, and they very quickly, within a year or two, wore out. And I have some quilts that I made with, top of the line quilters fabric. And after 10 or 12 years, there's maybe some spots that are a little bit more worn than others.
Yeah.
Gosh, they've gone the distance, like boys, and dragging them and making forts in the living room.
I know. And if you're going to spend that time and money, because let's be real, just the fabric alone in a quilt is close to $100. Yeah. That's the other thing that's nice about aprons is usually I can make an apron out of a yard of fabric pretty easily.
Yeah, that's great.
So today I'm making an apron for someone that commissioned me to make one. And so what I did is I went to Walmart and I got this package of fat quarters. Do you see? So even Walmart doesn't necessarily have the highest quality, but the quality is still pretty good.
Yeah, they have several different varieties at Walmart, I noticed.
They do.
Some nicer, some not.
They've expanded on what they have. Did I just show you Lexi's closet?
Yeah, no, we won't look at her closet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, it makes my eyes go a little bit crazy, but it's cute.
This one?
Yeah.
Part of my other favorite thing about fabric is ironing it. I love, love, love. Okay, see if I can hold this while I iron. Like I can stand all day and just iron fabric, but don't ask me to iron a t-shirt or a dress shirt or something.
It reminds me of my sewing machine. My husband would ask me if I could fix, hem, or if I could put buttons on his shorts. I'm like, no, my sewing machine doesn't do that.
Well, it's like asking an artist if they can paint your bedroom. It's
right.
No, I
but
can't.
not a mural.
Well, like I can hem your pants, but not because I know how to sew a bag.
Yeah.
So I don't enjoy. I had a whole stack of clothes that the kids wanted me to fix because you want to save money and not throw them away. But then they grew out of them before.
Right. I had a whole stack in my sewing room too. But that's okay. I do think that you should do what you love. And
yes,
you can get your pants hemmed really, really cheap. So sell an apron.
Just teach them. Yeah, just teach the kids how to hem their own pants.
Right. Well, the ironing looks very therapeutic the way you do it.
I really enjoy it.
I'm never that smooth with my ironing, so that's awesome. I'm glad you enjoy it.
That's because your ironing board stinks.
I'm sorry. You should make me one for Christmas. Your husband made you one. You should make me one.
I know. Oh my gosh. So
you have me for Christmas?
What?
You have me for Christmas?
No, I have Zeta.
Next time you have me for Christmas, make me an ironing board.
Yes. If my ironing board wasn't, so I'm in Lexi's room right now because my regular sewing room is covered in all my stuff that I do for eBay. Otherwise, I would show you this ironing board that Travis made for me one year, my husband, for people who don't know who that is. Anyway, my ironing board is large enough to sew a fat quarter. And
Oh,
if
wait.
you're into sewing, this right here, can you see that?
Yeah.
That's the size of a fat quarter that's very common in sewing, or in buying fabric. It's a very standard size. And at the time I was using a lot of fat quarters, and somebody gave me the idea of a bigger sewing or ironing board.
A regular ironing
Changed
board.
my life, because then you can do it all in one swoop. Right now I'm using a table with a towel on it.
Oh, well, that's lame. I could do that.
But it works. It works. So you can set a towel on a table, on a, I had it on my kitchen table for a little while.
So when I was down in Haiti and stopped by the sewing center with these ladies, they had a cement countertop they were using to cut stuff on, and they ironed on that. So
that's so smart, because the cement will hold the heat.
yeah. So anyhow, I asked them, oh, do you iron on this? And then they looked at me funny, and then they hold up fabric and like, no, we iron this. They thought I was asking if they ironed the cement. So, yeah, translation.
Hold on, I gotta put my elbow on the table so it's not as.
Okay, well, I just wanted to sum up that for you, it seemed like you selected something that maybe was a little bit out of your comfort zone, like sewing.
Yes, in the beginning.
Baby steps, and then realized the stuff that you liked, and then tweaked the stuff that you didn't. So if you don't love following patterns,
yeah,
you would make your own patterns. And if you wanted to iron fat quarters, which made you happy, then the ironing board didn't fit, you made one that did. So I think that's a good pattern for people to follow, because there's so many hobbies out there, and they can maybe baby step into it. And oh my goodness, isn't it awesome that we live in an age where we have the internet?
You can look up anything.
Right? So at 2 a.m, you can figure out how to, like, I don't know, breed llamas or something. And I'm sure there's a video on that.
Oh my goodness.
There has to be. Anyhow, you can learn how to do anything. And
it's true.
It's at our fingertips, which is awesome. And so maybe we can spend a little less time on some of the games we play, and maybe learn something while we're at it. So
well, it's a marketable skill. That sewing is.
Yeah.
But I think one of my things that I learned the most from my sewing journey is, like I said before, I had put these roadblocks in front of myself. I want to do this, but I probably can't. Not realizing, I think having all the information instead of just assuming, which is, I mean, that's a life thing, but how often do we do that? Oh, I can't go to school. It's going to cost too much money. Well, what if it doesn't? What if you just assume that it did because 20 years ago that it did?
Yeah.
Just because something was true once.
There's more opportunity. Yeah.
Well, but the point, yeah.
Some people tell me with Days for Girls, they're like, oh my goodness, I don't know how to sew. I'm like, well, if I showed you some of the things on her, then you would be able to do it. But you're right, not limiting ourselves by making absolutes, like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Really, if you looked into it, you might be able to.
Because I think some people do say that because they have no interest in it. What's an excuse and what's an obstacle?
Yeah.
How do you decide that? Like when somebody's saying something like that.
Is this an objection you want to overcome, or you really don't want us to overcome?
Exactly. That's the question.
Awesome.
With anything too.
Yeah.
But yeah, just because it was true on something, even 10 years ago, and you've always not done it because of that one time.
Yeah.
Don't put that blanket obstacle over it. Ask questions, even if you think you know the answers.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Like, ask questions.
Write that down, right?
Like, remember that time you thought something was at a certain time, and then...
Right, and then it wasn't, and it's better to ask than miss the event altogether, right?
Yes.
So, anyhow, you've got to get back to sewing. I've got to get back to doing payroll, which is something I don't love, but I do it so I can do the stuff I love.
Yes.
And anyhow, I hope that you've learned some lessons on what makes it fun to be my sister, and can apply them to something that you're doing. Maybe you've always wanted to try something, you think, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. Don't limit yourself by can't, because maybe you can. And then maybe it can be something that brings a lot of joy to you. It's something that can be done instead of like this ongoing housework that's never completed. If it's done and you can get the end results, you can get some satisfaction or do it as a gift or have it be a marketable skill, which is awesome. And sometimes with some hobbies, there's some satisfaction being able to try to get it close to perfection. I'm not saying like perfect, but like really good, because there's a lot of chaos in this life. there's chaos in relationships, there's chaos in business, there's just some chaos in this world, things we can't control. And it's nice to do some things where we have a little bit of control over it. It's like lining up those seams, or being able to make the best shot in basketball or whatever. It's kind of nice to have some things that you can do. So
did you know, real quick, I think I read somewhere about if you spend an hour a day on something, I should look it up. If you spend an hour a day on learning a new skill, you would be surprised at how long before you're like a master at it, I guess.
Well, I think Abraham Lincoln posted that the other day.
Yes, he did.
He added the statistic in there too, so you should 100% of people who try it will try it. Right?
Like this post, and I will grant your wish.
Right? And if you don't, then you must hate puppies, right?
Yes! Oh my gosh, those are so dumb.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, we got to sign off. I hope you have a great weekend, and then we'll see you next Tuesday while we get this whole Zoom thing figured out, and like camera angles and all sorts of things, which is a little unusual for me to have to deal with. But I'm learning and I'm having fun, and I hope you do things that make you have fun too. All right, talk to you later.